What's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? Hope everybody's doing good. Today I'd like to talk to you about Hitler being an Antichrist, one, or possibly a possession that led to the devil ruling a country. Now, where I'm going with this is, okay, and if you know anything about the part of the world over there in Europe, Germany, there's a story about a child of the Rhine. The child of the Rhine is a kid, basically the same story that, Jerusalem and a little boy, he grows up to be just a regular guy and ends up trying to rule the world. Well, that story, Hitler was from the area exactly where, this is supposed to happen. Now, what's crazy about this is if you delve in deep, you start to see some really I get bells and whistles, some alarms. So number one, the swastika, right? The swastika, if turned around, not the way the Nazis had it, but turned around, it means the sun. Okay. What the Nazis believed in was the black sun. Okay, that every sun has a opposite. So you have the sun, which is why we're here, and then a black hole basically that surrounds, and the Vril says that eventually this black hole will return, and that's basically that is judgment. That's the people flying into the sky. What is the rapture, right? So you delve in deeper, and you're like, well, maybe, that's a thought. So you get into the runes, okay? Well, the funny thing about runes is, if you look at the history of runes, they are the oldest, and that goes, they even predate Egyptian writing, okay? Like, this is the oldest writing in the world. And it's always been used in, it's hard to call it black magic because there was no set religion at the time. And these people were from a part of the world where the angels were from. The Persians, the Babylonians, the ones that were supposed to be flooded out. But there was a bunch of them that they left, and they went to Europe. And that's the Aryan race, okay? And this goes back, and that's why he went to India to find this, okay? The problem again is that would prove superiority in one race bigger than the other. See, I don't believe. See, okay, the Garden of Eden, right? I'm not Jewish, so I can't say that in the Garden of Eden that I would have been a slave or a worker. Okay, didn't mean to put it that way. Because from what it seems, the Jews liked the Garden of Eden. There was a sect of people that became enlightened, that they could move around more, that they could leave the garden. Okay, I'm guessing the garden was probably a ship. I'm gonna say it was probably enclosed. Probably was warm. They were able to do stuff on it, science, such like that. And they looked after this garden. A sect of these people decided to snoop around. They went to the tree, what we perceive as the tree, and they met Satan. That's the name that they found in Babylon. Now, Satan was a being that he was the person that put our genome together. Supposedly, this is we're talking about a language that is extinct, and a person that, yes, has a degree in the language, Sumerian, but also these tablets are older than anything that we know of. So this is where things get funny. In 2002, in the invasion of Iraq, all that stuff gets wiped out. There's a man, I forget his name. He has a boat, and he named it the World. He ended up buying these tablets, and they're put away. Nobody can see him. He doesn't let anyone see him. They're in a vault. There's a reason for that. Again, superiority, rate one race over another. In the Bible, or even if you watch the movie 300, when you see Xerxes, like how much taller he is than not Hermes, but the 300 guys, whatever their names were. Again, what we were looking at is what Xerxes offered was freedom of everything: sex, love, murder. Anything that you wanted to do, you were able to do. It was free will. It was not, but it wasn't free will. It was dangerous. It was murder. It was insanity. Let's get back to the the Nazis. What the Nazis did was, with runes, being that it's a angelic writing, they figured that if you put them on a uniform, if used correctly, you could activate a god power, I guess you could call it. And they did. They put the SS on the collar. What's the collar near? Your blood goes to what? Through your heart? Collar? Down into your heart. Okay? So, when these men were saying, they literally said in court, listen, when we put those uniforms on, we were no longer who we were. I had a baby at home. I put the uniform on and I was somebody else. I believe them. Completely believe them. They're possessed by these rogue people who are very smart. Very, very smart. Now, again, so in the Bible, they wanted to work in the garden, right? What did the Nazis do? What's the first thing that they did? Put them on trains and send them where? To work. Just like they did in the garden. Now, the angels, basically, the fallen angels were now getting into, the leadership of the Nazi party. And you can see this. It's so obvious when you look at it. I mean, you got a guy like, who was the one, there's a general, a tank general. He goes into, not Switzerland. He goes into Holland, and he goes, 2 of my men were murdered last night. Now, all you got to do is give up who the man was, and you all go home and have a nice Christmas time. The people are like, we don't know who did it, like they're as a terrorist, more or less. But you don't know. You really don't know who it was. Really. It's a shame. The man ends up killing, I think it was like 200, an entire team, and he destroys an entire town. He sends his SS in, they kill everybody. The Russians say that the Nazis did it, Nazis say the Russians did it, nobody knows, whatever. It doesn't really matter because even that was, so the Nazis led, the war ends, and you have half of the world with atheism, half the world with Catholicism, a brand of Christianity, Judaism. It's split. And then, you have the Middle East, of course. Again, what we're seeing is the 4 angels lining up all around the world. And they will each be present at the end times. So rune activation and possession, these guys were talking about being superior race. There's only one people that ever really got into that, and it was the first angels that were here. They believed that they were superior race. So for them to get inside of a body and to be in the SS, you had to be at least 6 foot. You had to have a jawline, look a certain way. You had to look angelic. You had to look like the police of the world, just as the angels were. And then here's some funny stuff. I mean, it's not funny. It's really sad, actually. You got Dr. Mengele. Now, what was Dr. Mengele trying to do? Well, gene splicey, genome. He's trying to find out why twins during the split of the embryo, why that you can see in the eye of any twin, you can see in the eye, usually left, where the split is. Why is that? That is weird. That is science. I got to give it to them. That's science. And they looked into this stuff. They looked into hyperbaric chambers and how you'd be able to hear your own soul and go into past lives. Blah 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 blah. But that's not the kicker, really, in the science. Space exploration. Now, space exploration, cool. But those same scientists that were into space exploration were also the people that run Cern today. And where does Cern run? Think of it. Think of where Cern is based. Please. It's really hilarious, really. Probably where the biggest murder of human civilization ever happened. Weird, right? I'll leave it alone, though. Yeah, Hitler with his Mandrake, the 13-year curse. This lady was a witch. She basically told him, if you don't murder me and you do as I tell you to do, you will rule the world. I promise you. Well, the Night of Long Knives, I believe it was, they go in and they murder the SA. There's talk of homosexuality going on and things that were unpure to the superiority of the of these alpha humans, the Aryans. So they were wiped out. At that time, that night, the police put out warrants also on this woman and some of the other Vril that were delving into that side of the black magic. Now, this woman said, told Hitler, she said, if I end up dead, if your Reich will last 13 years and it will die she said, it will not be remembered in light, but only in darkness. I'll let you think of it yourself. All right. So we got east of the Rhine. This is where we're going to end up everything. My grandmother lived east of the Rhine. She lived in a place called Austria. Today it's Hungary, I believe. Might have been given back to Austria at some point. Anyway, where she lived was the strictest sect of Catholicism that has ever been implemented in any place at any time. She was very devout and she had very, very strong beliefs. And I recently found out why. I looked into this and I couldn't believe what I was watching. Now, Catholicism, ritual belief, is what we're getting into here. Catholicism is based in all ritual belief. It's based in the old magic, the old ways, and that's why, when they talk in an exorcism to the devil or whoever's, present, they talk back. Is because they know what to say. If it's Latin, Aramaic, they already know the words that are going to be used by this demon. And with that, Hitler used the Catholic Church perfectly. The banks were very, very wealthy into the 60s, 70s because of that. And a lot of people escaped and got to America and Argentina because of the Catholic Church. And I'm not actually even going against that because I really believe that these people were not themselves. They were taken by something else, something higher entirely. And that was an Antichrist figure or the devil himself. A person named Hitler, a boy who was a corporal in the army, doesn't go to being, a nice little blah 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 into, it doesn't make sense. And he said that he's an actor. I don't buy that. If he was an actor, he would have been an actor, not a president, not a leader. This man was not himself. And my grandmother, she used to say, they would listen to him on the radio, and she'd say, he didn't sound like a man. He sounds like something else entirely. I'd be like, well, I don't understand what she meant by that. But if you listen, there's a human voice, but what's coming out of that voice is entirely unhuman. I'll let you take it, watch it, do what you got to do. Hey, we're here now, and it's happening again. Have you been lit up? Have you been activated?